have 5 authors of the Pikes Peak region with us today to discuss their experiences with self-publishing. We'll allow them to introduce themselves, and our moderator for this panel will be Cynthia Provenzano.
Thank you all for coming. Would you please give us a brief overview of what you've written? And if you have something to show us, like a book, hold it up, please. Yep.
Hello. My name is Balaz. I am the co-author and the illustrator of my mom and I's new book, The Halloween Pickle. And this is my mom.
Yes, he is my co-author and illustrator. This is a story that came to us last year after a Hub Network costume contest that he won the state of Colorado for and was on national TV. And when he came home, we were putting our Halloween tree up, and the book just came to life. And we bounced ideas back and forth, and characters were born, and here it is. And my name is actually Sherry Wine. My pen name is Sarah Kage.
My name's Ann Flint. I am writing a series. Can you hear me more? Is that better? No. Is it on? Now? There we go. Okay, sorry. I'll start again. My name's Ann Flint. I am writing a series about the history of a 600-year-old house in England. It has ghosts and artifacts and mysteries and that sort of thing. So this is the first book in the series, which takes place in 2009, and then I'm going backwards.
Hi, I'm Marty Banks. I'm a writer in my other life besides fiction writing as well, and I did come to it a little differently maybe. My first 2 books were traditionally published, and then I wanted to publish what they call a chapter book, which is like 1st through 3rd grade. It's pretty tough to get traditional publishers interested, and so I went ahead and self-published, and then I've gone ahead and done 2 more chapter books, and these are in a series. This one just launched 3 weeks ago. So, and then these are my first 2 books. Hopefully some of you have seen this. This was out a couple of years ago. I'm a co-author of that. And then this is my first book, which is a children's picture book. This was done by a traditional publishing house. Illustrations, as they know it, make it much more complicated. So I don't think that I would have tried this one in particular on my own.
I'm Erin Rambeau. I have a series called The Werewolf, the Librarian, and I don't know. I'm self-published through CreateSpace, which is owned by Amazon, and that's about it.
Okay, let's start with Erin. No pressure. Why did you decide to go the indie publishing route, and did you contact any traditional publishing houses?
I did contact a lot of publishing houses, and from what I could tell, they wanted like $1,500 to publish anything, and so, or even more. And so I looked into self-publishing. A friend of mine told me about CreateSpace, and I went on there, looked into how it was done, the information, and how they pay for the ISBN number and things like that. And so then they said that they would sell it on Amazon as well as Amazon Europe and everything like that. And I found that a whole lot easier, and then I could own my own book and do whatever I wanted to with it. So
how about you, Ann?
It's a very long answer, but
that's okay.
When I was writing this, I didn't know I was going to finish it. And I had the good fortune to discover that someone was going to teach a class on self-publishing. So I took this class and decided that I really didn't want to go the traditional route, because even if I had found somebody to publish it, it would have taken probably 3 years for the book to hit the shelves. And then there's a lot of publishing games that are played. And then you get 10% of the profits. And frankly, I could not stand the rejection of writing tons and tons of letters to agents and publishers and waiting, and I'm getting too old for that, so that's why I did it. And I did not contact any publishers.
And how about you two?
We had a couple of publishing houses that were interested. Like Erin, they wanted money up front, so I don't know if all publishing houses do that. I found right off the bat that they wanted to take a lot of creativity control with the cover and with a lot of stuff that I wasn't willing to give up yet. We figured we could put it out there, and see what we could do with self-publishing, and if it was good enough, maybe a publishing company would pick it up, and we wouldn't have to go that route. But and also most of what she said, because it is true, it's very time-consuming. This came up in October of last year, and we figured we had, maybe 9 months to get it written and try to get it out this year, which was really, really a lofty endeavor. But time, money, and control, creative control.
Okay. Marty, what was the biggest surprise that you had when you published your book?
Well, they're all really different. It's a lot like children. Each one has its own sort of joys and challenges. For self-publishing, it's a lot of work, and it's really, it makes you feel really good there's a big feeling of accomplishment if you just want to get your book out there and you've done what you need to do to make it ready to be out there. But it's so much harder and so much more time consuming than certainly than I expected. And I knew a lot of people that had done it, and some of them were in the very excited phase, so I kind of started while I was in that. And as time goes on, it's really a lot of work. So that was surprising. It was just as much joy and achievement as I had hoped, but it was a lot harder to get there than I expected.
Okay. Anne?
Well, it probably sounds silly, but I guess even though I've read books, all my life, a lot of books, I was very surprised about the technical details, like the extra margin on the left of your book for the binding, or where are you going to put the page numbers, or are you going to have chapter names or chapter titles. And then in my book, I have a plot of the property, and then I have 3 maps of the floors of this house. It's 3 stories. And the challenges of trying to get that to work right, both in the published book and as well as someplace like Smashwords, was quite the challenge, but I got it done.
Does anybody else want to take the question before we go on? Okay, go.
One of the big surprises for me was, as Shannon said at the beginning, that she had a style of writing to where she didn't go like in an outline. I have a process where I can't type fast enough to get it on to the computer. And so I'm going crazy and I'm loving it. Love that part. What was so surprising to me was the editing part. When I got to the editing, it was like pulling teeth. And thank goodness I have a lot of writing groups in the area that listen to this story 100 times over and over. And I have a stack of rewrites like this. And that was surprising to me, how tedious and almost joyless it became.
So if you can recommend anything to everyone here, what would it be?
My recommendation? Get help, like was said before, people that you trust, people that are interested in what you're writing. Family is good, but make sure that they're not going to tell you what you want to hear. And just be prepared to rewrite a lot.
How about all of you?
I would say get a professional editor to look at your book, even if it costs you some money. I mean, you could go the route of your favorite English teacher, etc. But even after editing, my first run of this had 42 mistakes in it that nobody caught. And then even in the second printing, there were still 4 more. And then I found a final one when we were doing the audiobook, which was never caught until I heard it in the studio. So the mistakes seem to go on forever.
I always think if you could hire the people that write to the newspapers that say you did this wrong, and they send back the whole paper back to the editors, those people would be the best editors in the world, seriously. Anyone else? Erin?
I would just say never give up. You are yourself your worst critic. And one of the biggest things is not everybody in the world is going to like you. I found that out the hard way. I created a music video for my first book, and I've been called everything from a whale to my face is big as the moon, and my book is crap. So just remember that not everybody likes everything you do. So just keep trying.
Well, at least they're watching the video and giving you money.
Exactly.
Prepare, get a thick skin, because a lot of people out there are not going to like what you do, and there's a bunch of people who will like what you do. So just take it with stride and know that you wrote something good.
I think one of the things too is when you have to have the thickest skin, you have to be ready for people to reject you. And people will take it as a personal affront that you've written this book. There's going to be one in every crowd. I have a friend who specializes in writing nasty reviews on Amazon. I can hardly believe that she does that because this is somebody's baby, but there she is writing them. Okay, let's see. I want to know how all of you market yourselves, because I think you're marketing your book also, but you are becoming a product, there is no doubt. So if you'd like to share some of your experiences.
I'll do it.
Okay, good.
Also, as the author of our book, I help my mom with the marketing, and we have a Facebook account, Twitter account, YouTube, linked, you name it, we got it. Within the last couple of months, because of Halloween coming up, our numbers jumped up almost 2,000 people. But out of those 2,000 people, we probably sold 3 books. So, just because you have the followers doesn't mean that they're gonna purchase a book, or, we've held contests telling people, the name of our book is The Halloween Pickle. So we tell them to put a costume on and take a picture with a pickle, and the best costume wins an autographed book plus an autographed illustration of the first chapter. We got nothing.
Gift certificates.
We offered $40 gift certificates and nothing. It got down to share our cover and you'll be automatically entered. We had 2 shares. I finally just went to say, like the picture and you'll be entered. We got 36 people who were, it's a game, and you just gotta do it over and over and over. Eventually it will pick up. Best thing to do on Facebook, you may not pick up a lot of followers, but what I've learned from watching other people is go to other pages that are within the realm of your book and share their page. They'll share you back, and you just look for people who have a lot of followers. And when they share you, yours spreads out to them. That's how we jumped up almost 2,000 people within weeks. So that's one of the things you can do.
So which authors are you networking with then? That you're sharing their pages? Like,
For us?
Every Halloween page that we
Good.
just do a search for a Halloween page, and,
Yeah.
and we go and we share, and then they come back and share, and that's how it goes.
It's crazy. I look for the Halloween pages that have the most people. There's some out there that have 1 million likes. There's some out there that have 300 likes. I don't care. I go to them anyways. That's 300 more than I got. But, you know, it's just a lot of time that you're going to put into this. If you really want your book out there, I mean, I come home from work and I'm plugging the book. It doesn't matter.
And he does, but I am completely convinced that point of sale is where it is, because we've missed so many sales of not having the book on us and with us and saying something about it, and people going, oh, you know, I want it, and they want to fork out the money right there, and we don't have it.
So you really need to have it in the trunk of the car,
Yes, you
basically,
do, and
everywhere
that's
you go.
expensive, yes.
How about you, Ann?
I would say the answer to your question is I am lousy at promoting my book. It's not my personality. I'm kind of quiet, withdrawn. And what I found is you can spend your whole life promoting your book and never getting any writing done. And you kind of have to find a halfway mark, maybe make a goal like I'm going to spend 2 hours a day promoting it and 90 hours a day writing or whatever turns you on, but it sucks up a lot of energy and time.
Is this somewhere that you might hire someone or make somebody that in your family do it for you? Which is always the first thing.
That'd
I
be
think of.
great if I had somebody that would do that, but I don't.
Okay. And Marty?
I've actually switched philosophies about how to market. For the first self-published book that I did have a sales license, and I do continue to do a lot of school visits since it's a children's book. And I used to sell them at the school visits, but one, the sales license is a bit of a hassle. And the others, I felt just a little uncomfortable selling at schools. I really like to go to D2, D11, and a lot of those kids just don't have the resources, and I wanted to be a point of inspiration for them. I didn't want it to be sad that they weren't the ones that were able to take a book home. So I kind of got rid of that. I take books to schools when I go. What I like to do, like Erin, I went through CreateSpace and Amazon, so I've really concentrated on letting Amazon help me. And there's a number of kind of tricks you can do. You need to have a certain number of reviews, and then once you do, then they kind of pick up your book and they send out emails to other people that buy that type of book. My first 2 books both have over 30 reviews, which is really important. We've heard the number. First, we heard the number. I'm with a number of writing groups, and one of them is self-published in particular, and that's really helpful to have the networking. But we kind of were getting the word that it was 30 reviews or more, and then Amazon would pick up the book. Now we've heard it's 33. Who knows? Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 200. You know, it's all kind of this secret science. But that does seem to be a prevailing thing. And once this one hit 30 reviews, I started seeing it. They were, sending it to me because I had purchased similar types of books. Oh, if you like that, then you'll like this. So it does work. It does work. So, and I ask anybody, any friend or family, I beg them, listen, please make it an honest review, but if you'll go review my book, that's more help you can give me than anything else. So, you got to shamelessly hound friends, family for reviews both at Amazon and Goodreads. Goodreads is really important as well. Goodreads also lets you, in the first year that a book is out, do a free giveaway. And so you can select the time frame and the number of copies, and then you presume that those people will write reviews for you as well, which is also very helpful. So I've just finished a review giveaway with this book. They notified me last night that they picked the 5. They give you the address. It's totally easy. So I kind of concentrate on using the mass market tools that are out there as opposed to the people that I personally meet, other than asking for reviews from anyone, literally anyone.
We get a little more specific on that about the reviews. Who are you contacting? In other words, what is their avenue of communicating their review? Who sees those reviews that are written about your book?
Well, if you go on Amazon and pull up any book, and then it'll have a star rating beneath it, And that's determined by the number of reviews. And everybody who reviews can choose from 1 to 5 stars. 5 is good, 1 is bad. And so it'll give you the star rating. So let's say, you know, you've got 4.2 average. So it'll be 4, you know, plus a little bit of the 5th. And then
All on Amazon.
all on Amazon.
Okay, so you haven't contacted anyone in print media, for instance?
Well, that's a whole different thing. And actually, very quickly, I don't want to
Go ahead.
commandeer all the time, but self-published people do have a very difficult time getting any sort of media, whether social or mass, to pick up an actual review of their book. It's one of the bigger hurdles that I've found that self-publishing as opposed to traditional publishing. Reviewers just don't want to do it. So that's its own challenge. I actually started my own review blog to kind of make myself a little bit of the expert, and now I have people asking me for a review, and I know it's really hard. You can pay for reviews with like Kirkus reviews and stuff like that. It's got to make sure that you know you're ready for whatever they say. But for them,
This is brutal.
Kirkus is brutal. Kirkus can't, you know, just because you pay your money doesn't mean it's going to be good. But when I'm talking about reviews, I'm talking about customer reviews,
Right.
either Goodreads or Amazon. But that's what Amazon uses in their metadata to determine who they're going to push.
I was going to say, there's not much you can do about asking your friends and family to write reviews, but one part of my job is we look at reviews on Amazon, and you know, if it says unparalleled genius, the best thing ever written, it's your mom, you know. So you really have to ask them to temper their praise. I'll see a lot of times almost the same exact review, so they're obviously seeding it too. So I mean, you have to be a little cunning about that too. Okay, go ahead, Erin. Sorry.
Fine. I would definitely say think outside the box. With me, I create a music video for every book I write. And I've gone to conventions, sci-fi conventions, where I sell them and do book signings there as well. And we're creating a line of perfume called Werewolf Water. But create things that other people just never thought of, that others think you are really unique. There are tons of things. I have a creative team made up of my sister. And there are just crazy things you can create, little notebooks, you can create anything for a book, but as long as you think outside the box, you can find crazy things to market your items, whatever it is. I mean, people create blinker fluid, for God's sake, so yes, definitely think outside the box.
So let me go and start again with you. Sorry, lots of pressure. Who was most helpful outside of your family and friends getting the word out about your book?
Wow, I have no clue. Apparently, I have a huge following in the United Kingdom, so I would say it would be them.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you do to keep that going with them?
They have I have my own website, and they go on there and they send me emails and, you know, asking for autographed pictures, and they have this little fan club over there, and
Very
so
cool.
yeah. But I wish I could go to England now.
Okay. Marty?
I'd probably have to say the other writers that I connect with. There's just so much information, and self-publishing in particular is changing so quickly that having a sort of a group source for all that information is really, really helpful. And then we help each other with promotions and stuff like that. So.
Great. Yeah.
Outside of friends and family, nobody that I know. But nobody has mentioned Pinterest, and I would like to say that I've played around with that a little bit, and one of the things that inspired me about my book are 3 houses in England that I've been in and really liked. And so one of the things that I've done is take photographs of those houses and say, this room or this house inspired my book, and then I post that on my Facebook page as well. And actually have seen a lot of reposts on Pinterest.
That's great.
Worth a try.
I think that's a great tool.
I have to give a plug to the writing groups in town. A lot of them run by the libraries, some in community centers. Most of my writing groups, they're different levels. Some people are just writing for the fun of it. Some are writing to be published. Some just don't know how to write at all but want to. And sometimes they contribute the most, I feel, because they're great readers. And you have to be a reader before you can be a writer. So I would say that my groups are probably my biggest support. And as advertising, as she was saying, think outside of the box, Erin said also. We have on the back of our Jeep the Halloween Pickle and a QR code that's about this big. So when the people are sitting behind us at a traffic light, they can use their phone and go straight to the website. It's Halloween, and, it's going to be over in 3 weeks, but I don't care. I figure, curiosity, because people love to pick up that phone and just, the QR code. So that would be it. Thinking outside of the box. Oh, one more thing. Halloween, we went into Walmart and they have the candy dish with the hand that slaps down if you put your hand there. I stuck a business card with the Halloween Pickle and the QR code inside the hand and put it in the middle aisle. Some people came by, the hand flapped down and got their attention. So definitely think outside the box.
There's nothing wrong with guerrilla marketing. Absolutely. What was the most expensive and unexpected cost that you had in publishing your books? Any of you? Okay, that's fine.
Like I said before, I think point of sale is probably your best, that impulse buying. Oh, I see the cover, I want to buy it. So you have to have copies available. And CreateSpace, this came from CreateSpace, and my cost to have this is $10.75. That's my cost. So, if you've got 100, 200 books that you're going to go out and go to signings or whatever, that's a lot of money. And that surprised me. I really thought that the social media was going to be the click. And it's also on Kindle too, which we did at $4.50, so that's a lot better. Also too, CreateSpace has done me an injustice. The book is now for sale for $23 on CreateSpace, and it's a glitch. And I have been after them for 4 weeks to get it fixed, and they keep telling me it's going to be fixed, and it hasn't been.
That's enough to stall you out.
Yeah.
How much are you charging for the book if your cost is $10.75?
We're charging $14, and then with shipping, or if it's point of sale, then it's I'm just going ahead and doing $14. So.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think anything really surprised me in cost. When I published this, it was before or right on the edge of eBooks coming out. So a lot of things have changed now. And I still have some books that I ordered from my original publishings. So I haven't actually had to go and ask Smashwords or somebody to print me some books. So I might be surprised if that costs that. I am shocked. But that's one of the problems with being self-published too, because your books cost you some money, and if you're going to make any money back, you're probably going to be selling your book for more than other publishers can do. And I don't know how much the public cares about that or supports a self-publisher. So I don't know.
Marty?
Minus the cover. I really believe that a good cover is pretty absolutely important. And the first cover that I ended up doing by myself, I don't do them, so I hire them out. And I had, since I went through CreateSpace, this was the first one I did, and I had their art department do it, and I'm not happy with it, and it was a lot of money. So this was my most expensive for this. For this next two, I went with, I found about this design firm that does covers. These were not that expensive comparatively, but they're still, they're $210 each. So you add that, and I do the formatting myself, but when you add a little bit for marketing, and suddenly, it's $400 or $500. I buy the ISBN numbers rather than use CreateSpaces. So, I've got anywhere between $500 and $1,000 into each book by the time I've bought some stickers and bought the cover and bought an ISBN and done some marketing. And it's hard to earn that back. I'll be honest. It's, you know, unless you're a romance writer, who they just make a lot of money. Seriously, if any of you are romance writers, good for you. Everybody else, man, put on the brakes on anything you possibly can on the budget.
Erin?
Oh, I would definitely say marketing is the biggest surprise. I mean, you got to pay money to create something to sell it, and it just keeps going over, and it's just a giant circle. That's about it.
How much do you think you spend, like a month or every year on
Oh,
it?
God, a month? Probably about $300 to $400 a month alone.
Wow.
Yeah, because I create a lot of crap. I'm really bad. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You mentioned paying ISBN and mentioned stickers. Do you buy stickers with the ISBN number printed on them and put them on the books, or do you have print them on?
No, the barcode that's on the back of the books, that's just a standard printing. This is what he's talking about, and that's not actually what I meant. I have, I made little stickers because it's a kid book. That's my sort of promotional item. So I'm talking about fun stickers when I talk that. But this is just part of it.
It should be integrated in the
yeah,
back cover, right?
it's not an extra.
Yeah.
It's not an extra cost.
Any other questions? I'll repeat the question. Is there a limit of how long you should be marketing something if it was published 2 years ago? Is that what you asked?
Yes, and also is there time do you do much marketing for the book?
And what do you do for upcoming releases? You should do some marketing now, right now, all of you.
Now, we probably started our Facebook page and all that within 9 months of the book being out, and we did little tidbits here and there trying to get them involved and excited about the book. From sneak peeks of the illustrations to, you know, anything Halloween, you know, just to get them interested. So when your book is ready to come out, you have yourself a little group who's ready to go on there. I did Twitter before our book come out, and I didn't have anything to talk about the book, and you don't want to talk about the book that's not out there yet. So you have to do other things to get them, and then eventually you get them to go with the book, and when you get ready to publish your book, you can actually get yourself some pre-orders. So.
Anyone else?
I'm working on 2 books right now, part of the series, and I will be, when I think that I'm close enough to publishing again, I will be doing pre-promotional stuff, but right now it's too early for me to do.
Marty?
I find, you know, pre-information on your book is really good, and like with the book, I'm on book 4, and honestly, I'm trying to get on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and so, God, fingers crossed. But yeah, just getting out there and word of mouth is the biggest thing in the world that you could use.
So what would you do different?
Yeah. What would you do differently? Looks like nothing.
Well, I have an answer to that. I would do this cover differently. You know, first book, you gotta live and learn. I worked with my niece on these 2. She's we did photographs instead of line art. And working with family has a number of challenges. Love her to death, still do, but working with her has been extremely difficult. So don't underestimate your writing partner or collaborator. That can be a really difficult thing. The one thing we wanted to do in the beginning was get 4 of these out at once, because this particular type of book, a series, is really important. But my niece wasn't able to do that, and so that sort of spun our whole plan out of whack. And that's just, I would love to have done that differently, but, you know, so. And there's a lot of little things that these guys have mentioned as well, you know, with formatting and stuff, that each time it's really difficult. And the technology's changing. So it changes. You think, okay, I've done one book and now I can do the next one and I know what I'm doing, but some of the tools will be different from when you did it the first time. I don't use Smashwords, so I can't speak to that, but I do use CreateSpace, and every single book has been different.
Anyone? Yeah.
You brought up earlier, just example, struggling between using the chapter title and sometimes struggling or what was your experience in the books?
Do you mind if I repeat it real quick?
I didn't title my chapters, but I did, except for just, this is chapter 1, chapter 2. That's all I did to separate them. But was it Smashwords? I can't remember which version. When I published the ebook, that did not work very well because they don't want you to hit return, essentially. So anytime you have a separation like that, you get dinged on it and it comes back to you, no, you can't do that. So I had to get really tricky with some of the stuff I did. One of the things I have in many of my chapters is, instead of ending the chapter, I didn't want to end the chapter, but the subject changes a little bit. So I did, the little asterisks like this. That they don't like that in ebooks. So that probably the reader wouldn't care, but to me that really was annoying that I couldn't do that. So, and I don't have an index or a list of how many chapters or anything at the front of the book. So that was just me, though.
I'd like to give all of you an opportunity to briefly, if you'd like, tell us about what you're working on and what's upcoming. Casey. Okay.
Well, much to my surprise and delight, when I wrote this, this is a contemporary story, so it's a story of a woman, an American woman who was also raised in England, who goes and finds this deserted house, buys it, starts restoring it, and that's when all kinds of things break loose and start happening. So my readers liked the two main characters in this book so much that they begged me to continue their story, which hadn't been my intent at all. And in the back of this book, I wrote the first chapter of the 13th century, which was what I thought was going to be my next book. So now I'm writing 2 books at the same time, which is taking a long time. But I didn't really plan to write them in any particular order. So I also have a few more that are sort of rumbling around in my head. So the one after that, maybe the 17th century, I might go back to the Victorian period. We'll see what happens. So.
I'm really lucky to have my illustrator live with me. And we're Halloween people, and the stores in town are celebrating Hallow Thanksmas, which means they've just combined all 3 of the holidays together. So at the end of this book, there are some disgruntled turkeys on the terabyte, and they're upset that that Christmas is taking over. So that's a hint of maybe another holiday book that might come up. Also, too, I started a novel 30 years ago, which started my wanting to write. And I have probably 20 chapters that I've done when he was even really small. And it's very interesting because now I've learned so much in these last 20 years, and especially in the last couple of years, that I want to go back to the very first and start all over again, because I know it's going to be totally different. And so that's a project. That's where I'm at. And he's not going to illustrate on that one, so. It's a fiction romance, so he's not interested.
I'm working on my 4th book of the series, WLI, the Werewolf Kind, and I'm also started another book that links to this series, where it goes into a lot of darker stuff, kind of Stephen King crazy stuff. And funny how that kind of started. It started with me not getting a job promotion, so but so yeah, But I plan on keeping my series going forever until I die.
Back here.
I just wanted to add something. It's a website called Wattpad, something like that. But it's WATTPAD, and a lot of authors they put their stories online for people to read for free. And a lot of times you get a big following from it. And you know when you do your profile, you can link it up to your YouTube channel or whatever channel you have. So there's a lot of writers on there. What is it?
Can you say the web address really loud again?
Okay. WATTPAD. It's called Wattpad or Wattpad or something.
I've done my book, part of this book, on Wattpad. It's kind of a neat way. I publish it by chapter, so I think I've published close to a little more than half now. And I kind of do it when I remember to do it. So I have some people that are reading it, but you get a lot of constant feedback. So as soon as they read a chapter, they comment on it. But again, you have to be ready to take the criticism, because that can happen too. So, but it's a good way for readers to find books and authors, because you can do a search by the author or the name of the book, or I think you can do it by theme or subject matter too.
Well, we want to thank all 5 of you for coming. I wish you great success, and I wish all of you great success. We can't wait to see what you're writing.